What if I told you that Iran, known in ancient times as Persia, holds a pivotal role in the events that could shape the end of days? This nation, frequently dominating headlines due to its tensions with global powers, is far more than a modern geopolitical player. Its significance stretches across millennia, woven into a divine narrative found within the pages of Scripture, from the era of the prophets to the apocalyptic visions of the final times. In this exploration, we will uncover how Iran, referred to as Persia in the Bible, aligns with prophecies that may be unfolding before our very eyes. How do Iran's current actions connect to the predictions of ancient texts? Join us on this journey to unravel the prophetic destiny of this nation and its relevance on the global stage. If this topic captivates you, don't forget to support our content by sharing, liking, and subscribing for more insights into prophecies and current events. The historical legacy of Persia. Thousands of years ago, long before Iran became a focal point of international attention, the Persian Empire ruled vast regions of the ancient world. Renowned for its cultural sophistication, advanced governance, and global influence, Persia was not merely a military powerhouse, but a melting pot of civilizations that left an indelible mark on history. In the Scriptures, Persia emerges as a central figure in key moments of the biblical narrative, playing a role that transcends the earthly and ventures into the divine. Under the reign of Cyrus the Great, Persia rose to prominence as an empire that reshaped history by liberating the Jews from their Babylonian exile. This act, documented in both the Bible and the Cyrus Cylinder, an archaeological artifact, allowed the Jews to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. In Isaiah 45, Cyrus is described as God's anointed, a title that underscores his role in fulfilling divine purposes, despite not being part of the people of Israel. This historical moment not only reflects Persia's religious tolerance, but also its profound significance in the spiritual landscape of the time. In the book of Daniel, Persia reappears as a critical player, both politically and spiritually. In Daniel 10:13, a supernatural struggle is mentioned where the Prince of Persia resists a divine messenger, hinting at a spiritual dimension behind earthly events. This passage suggests that Persia was not only a physical empire, but also a stage for cosmic conflicts that transcended human affairs. Yet, the Scriptures also look forward, casting a more complex role for Persia in the events of the last days. Persia in end times. Biblical prophecies, particularly in Ezekiel 38 and 39, position Persia as a key participant in an eschatological conflict known as the War of Gog and Magog. In this scenario, Persia joins a coalition of nations led by Gog, a mysterious leader from the land of Magog, often associated by scholars with a northern power, possibly Russia. This alliance, which includes nations identified today as Turkey, Libya, and others, rises against Israel in a battle of monumental proportions. According to Ezekiel, this conflict will not merely be a military engagement, but a spiritual event where God intervenes directly to protect his people. The depiction of this war is striking. Vast armies converge on Israel, but their plan is thwarted by divine intervention. Ezekiel 38:18-23 details how God will use natural phenomena, earthquakes, hail, and fire to defeat this coalition, demonstrating his sovereignty before the world. Persia, identified as modern-day Iran, is a central element in this prophetic narrative, not only as a military actor, but as a symbol of opposition to God's divine plan. In today's context, Iran's actions seem to echo these ancient predictions. Its growing influence in the Middle East, through alliances with groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, militias in Syria and Yemen, and its strengthened ties with Russia and Turkey, mirrors a geopolitical alignment that could be setting the stage for the events described in Ezekiel. Could we be witnessing the early stages of these prophecies coming to pass? This question calls for deep reflection on Iran's role in the global arena. Iran in the modern landscape. Today, Iran stands as a regional powerhouse that directly challenges the West and Israel. Its nuclear program, military activities in Syria, and support for armed groups across the region have sparked tensions that extend beyond the Middle East. The anti-Israel rhetoric of its leaders, coupled with a theological vision that views Israel as an obstacle to its regional ambitions, reinforces the notion that Iran is playing a leading role in prophetic dynamics. Iran's alliances with Russia and Turkey, along with its military presence in Syria, evoke the coalitions outlined in Ezekiel 38. For instance, joint military exercises between Russia and Iran, as well as their cooperation in regional conflicts, suggest a convergence of interests that may align with prophetic descriptions. Furthermore, Iran's backing of Hezbollah, a group operating in Lebanon, and posing a constant threat to Israel, heightens regional tensions. Iran's nuclear ambitions are another source of concern. Intelligence reports indicate that Israel may be contemplating preemptive actions to neutralize this threat, which could trigger a large-scale conflict. This scenario, combined with Iran's belligerent rhetoric and its defiance of Western dominance, appears to fit the biblical portrayal of a nation opposing Israel in the last days. The spiritual dimension of the conflict beyond geopolitics. The scriptures suggest that Iran's role in end times events carries a profound spiritual dimension. In Daniel 10, the resistance of the Prince of Persia to a divine messenger points to a struggle that transcends the human realm. Some interpreters see this passage as evidence of dark spiritual forces influencing the actions of nations. This perspective implies that Iran's hostility toward Israel is not merely political or ideological, but is shaped by a cosmic battle between good and evil. The book of Revelation also references Gog and Magog, though in a different context, at the end of the millennium, Revelation 27-9. While this event is distinct from the war described in Ezekiel, the recurrence of these names reinforces the idea of a recurring pattern of rebellion against God. Persia, as part of this narrative, emerges as a nation that, in the last days, will align with forces opposing God's purposes, but will ultimately face divine judgment. Implications for today. The current global landscape invites us to consider the relevance of these prophecies. The tensions between Iran and Israel, combined with emerging geopolitical alliances, seem to align with biblical descriptions. However, the scriptures do not only speak of conflict, they also promise divine intervention. Ezekiel assures that God will protect Israel, not through its military might, but through His sovereignty. This promise offers hope amidst a world filled with uncertainty. For believers, these prophecies serve as a reminder to remain vigilant and spiritually prepared. Jesus, in Matthew 24:42, urges us to stay watchful, as the timing of His return is unknown. In a world where global tensions are rising, Christians are called to pray for peace, share the gospel, and live with an eternal perspective. Iran's identity from Persia to modernity. The name Iran has deep roots tracing back to the term Ariana, meaning land of the Aryans. This name, used since antiquity, reflects the heritage of the Indo-European peoples who settled the region over 4,000 years ago. Before being known as Persia, the area was inhabited by the Elamites, a Semitic people mentioned in the Bible as descendants of Shem, son of Noah. Over time, the arrival of the Aryans and the blending of diverse cultures shaped modern Iran's identity. The Persian Empire, particularly under the Achaemenids, was known for its tolerance and ability to unify diverse peoples. This cultural and political legacy continues to influence Iran, which today blends elements of its pre-Islamic past with its modern Islamic identity. The name Persia, derived from the province of Fars, was used by the West until 1935, when the country officially adopted Iran to reflect its native identity. The enmity between Iran and Israel. Iran's hostility toward Israel has both historical and spiritual roots. In ancient times, Persia played a positive role by liberating the Jews from exile. However, prophecies suggest that in the last days, Iran will adopt an oppositional stance. This enmity, blending political, religious, and theological factors, is evident in Iran's support for groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, as well as its anti-Israel rhetoric. The account in Daniel 10 suggests that this hostility has a spiritual dimension. The resistance of the Prince of Persia to the divine messenger implies the presence of supernatural forces influencing national actions. This perspective offers a deeper explanation for the conflict, suggesting it transcends the merely human. In conclusion, a call to reflection. The biblical prophecies about Iran urge us to view the present through a spiritual lens. Current events, from geopolitical alliances to Middle Eastern tensions, seem to resonate with Scripture, reminding us that history is under God's control. As believers, we are called to live by faith, share the message of hope, and pray for peace, especially for Jerusalem. Psalm 122, verse 6. If this analysis has resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe we are witnessing the fulfillment of these prophecies? How should we prepare spiritually? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this content to engage more people in this reflection. Stay tuned for more explorations of prophecies and global events. May God bless you.